Okay, I'm Trudy Elsner, and this is Joe Hannan, and this is the first time we're kind of officially here. We convinced our director we should be joining the organization. So kind of an overview of Hennepin County. We're about 1.25 million people. We have 2,200 lane miles. As you can see by the map, we are about 97 of concrete, 204 bit over concrete, and then the rest bituminous. Minneapolis, Minnesota is located in Hennepin County, to give you some point of reference for where we are. We have our county state aid highway system as well as our county roads. Now, one of the things we talked about this morning were low volume roads, and there's only about 4 roads that we'd consider that have less than 1,000 ADT. So it's a fairly populous area. Again, just like the rest of the state DOTs, our pavement is aging. You can't really see the numbers on the graph, I realize, but the yellow area represents 39% of our system, which is over 50 years. And so again, a lot of times our county roads have been just over time not reconstructed and just added on to and things like that. So we've been looking at that. Which the way we do our pavement management right now is we've been collecting data, getting our PSR and our PCI, and then doing visual inspections. Each year, we have a program for our capital improvement program, which is about 20 lane miles of reconstruction. So with 2,200 lane miles, you can tell that it's going to take a while to get those roads rebuilt. And with 40% of them over 50 years, it's a problem on how do you maintain them. We've been doing crack sealing on a regular basis. Until about 15 years ago, we had been doing chip sealing on a regular basis, and mainly I think because of the vehicle damage reports with chip sealing, a lot of times that was kind of phased out of our program. But we've been doing crack sealing and then about 110 lane miles of overlay. As I mentioned, our capital program really consists of reconstructs, and that's been about 20 lane miles per year. We were just putting some data together, and by the time we get to some of our roads in Minneapolis, they'll be over 80 years old. So again, how do you maintain these roads between now and then? That's why we're here. This year we were planning to do 140 lane miles. We just found out though that our budget might be cut a little bit, and that's one thing I'm envious of the state DOTs. I think you guys have that 5-year STIP, so a lot of times you guys have consistent funding, and that's one of the things that we've been working on. We've been asked to develop a 3 to 5 year program, and yet then now we have a 140 lane miles program for 19, and now we're told we're actually maybe going to be cut back to about 75 lane miles of work that we can actually do. So it kind of defeats the purpose of planning too far ahead. Joe's going to tell you about a couple of the things that we have completed.
Due to our funding, we are still heavy into the thin mill and overlays. We're still trying to work into the seal coats, which is our future plan, but right now in our pavement preservation, we've added the Texas under seal, which is where we tried some 3 inches mill and overlays and some 1.5 inch mill and overlays with the seal coat in between. We just put those down this year, so we're trying that on some of our bituminous over concrete areas. We're milling off the bituminous 2 inches, and then we're gonna do the big mill comes through, and it's a 7-foot wide mill, and we clean out the joints that are alligator cracked, heavy tack coat, and then patch before we put the overlay on to try to minimize the alligator cracking in the concrete sections. We also this year tried, as we did one year before, a rejuvenator, which is added to the mix at the plant. Right now we use 30% wrap in our mixes, and we tried the rejuvenator, which is supposed to make the bituminous not oxidate so fast. And we also upped our wrap content from 30% to 45% with the rejuvenator, and this was also done this summer, but so far when we placed it and everything, we did not notice a whole lot of difference between the 30% wrap and the 45% wrap, which is good for recycling, which we're trying to get into recycling a lot. And the rejuvenator is also a plant-based instead of emulsion, which is also supposed to be better for the environment. And our crack sealing, we try to crack seal. We have our plan up there, which is our 3-year plan. We follow our pavement and try to crack seal everything, and our new thin overlays for crack sealing. The CPI construction, we don't crack seal those because it's usually 5 to 10 years before they even crack because our mixed designs are so good, but we're following our thin maintenance overlays with the crack seal real regularly.
One of the things I'll mention is too, is I don't know if you guys have used the indefinite quantity, indefinite delivery, but the IDIQ contracting process worked really well for us. We had a great contractor came on board, and at the end of last year, we had, I think about $900,000 that was year-end money, and I said, I've got a place for it, so we got about 90 lane miles of crack sealing added that wouldn't have gotten done had we not had a contract set up that you could just add to at the end of the year. So that was definitely a plus. Now this year our budget's cut for that, so. One of the things we're looking at here coming up for, I really should call this our pavement management plan, is this year we had done the Texas underseal. We still call it a Texas underseal. One of our cities, Eden Prairie, has done this extensively too and had good results. We typically had done 1.5 inch and 2 inch overlays. This year we did a 3 inch, and next year we'll be doing a 4 inch overlay. Wow. So for us, that's a big deal. The county, really, it was mill and overlay, 1.5 inch, and reconstruct, and that was all, and crack seal. Those were the only tools that were really there a few years ago, and we've been encouraged now to expand the toolbox. So the 4 inch overlay is going to be a big deal for us. And then we're looking at adding chip seal to our program for next year with the fog over the top, microsurfacing. And again, it depends, there's a road that's falling apart, so that wouldn't be a preservation treatment. That's just something to hold it together until the reconstruct comes through with a light rail project being delayed, that's being held up. We're also looking at cold in place for 19 and then full depth reclamation, which again are more of a rehab, because we know some of those roads, especially out in the western part of the county, are not gonna get touched, for, another 50 years, the way we're headed, so. As one slide indicated, we have about 97 lane miles only of concrete pavement, but we've overlaid 204 of that, or another 204 of concrete pavement with asphalt. For an IDIQ contract, you want something very repeatable, something with a very few number of task or pay items that is something simple. To be honest, a lot of times the hardest part with an IDIQ is the traffic control, and so you have to kind of set up different pay items for how you can get your contractor paid for that. And then in our case, we just had a mobilization of flat rate that was part of the contract there. So I know MnDOT has used it for crack sealing. They've used it for chip sealing and for microsurfacing. And I think for ultra thin. Yep, and for ultra thin as well. The question is, how are we prioritizing with a broad range of roadways and projects? And pretty much our target has always been to be at 65% of our road system should be a good or better rating. So, and that's been based on our PSR, and that's been what's been promoted to our county board. So asset management actually has now given us an opportunity. We're going to be presenting in March, again, kind of where our system's at, and we're being able to use some asset-based data and give some factual information on why we want to do what we want to do. Our PSR rating has gone up and down a little bit. It's been getting more consistent, so that's been helpful. But again, I think we use the data that we get from that system. It's not a full pavement management system at this point, but we'll use that data in visual observation. And then again, we sometimes have to kind of look at what's within the inner loop of the CBD, what's in the outer loop. Is anything in someone's district? Unfortunately, some of those political decisions still do get into the mix. Okay, thank you.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.